Joining me now is Dr. Dean Fanelli. He has over 20 years experience in the pharmaceutical and biotech industries. Dr. Fanelli, thank you for being here. Almost 95% effective. Is that approaching silver bullet status?
Well, it's certainly something to be optimistic about. I wouldn't say silver bullet status, though, because when you think about it, we're going to have to vaccinate about 250 million Americans to get to a point where we can stop the spread of the virus. So Moderna can't do this on its own. We're going to need multiple vaccines approved. So definitely people should be optimistic, and it's good news and very hopeful we could see that light at the tunnel, but it's going to take multiple shots on goal, so to speak.
Moderna and Pfizer, apparently they're both using messenger RNA or mRNA. And my understanding is it's not like the traditional method where you use a dead virus particle. You actually put the mRNA in. How does that work, and why is it more effective this time?
Yeah, so mRNA vaccines have never been approved before, and you could expect that they would be the front runners because they're easier to manufacture, so to speak. And typically, when you think of a vaccine, you're talking about either a weakened version of a vaccine, a killed version, or some protein or subunit that's indicative and would trigger that immune response. Here, instead of actually administering the protein in the vaccine, you're administering the precursor, the mRNA. It gets into the body's cellular machinery then generates that protein, particularly the spike protein, and generates that immune response.
What does it tell you, Dr. Fanelli, that these two vaccine candidates already, they have seen such success, 90%, 95%. Will this be a COVID knockout?
So it's great news. I mean, if you think about it, earlier this summer, the US FDA put out guidelines where they were looking for at least 50% efficacy. Here, we're talking about 90% for Pfizer, almost 95% for Moderna. And we're going to need that numbers. I mean, because these are numbers you think about that they concluded, or the preliminary data from a clinical trial. In the real world, one would expect that they would probably be a little lower, the effectiveness. So starting off at a high number really is a very promising result. But again, preliminary, there's still a lot of questions to be asked.
And I guess we still don't know the duration that it lasts, right? And we also haven't seen it with very old or very young people yet.
Absolutely right. And they're key questions. We're going to need to know, how long does this immune response last? Is this the type of thing where we can get it under control, or do we need an annual coronavirus vaccine? Pfizer did start studies in people younger than 18. Children are always a special class. Special tests and trials are done with them. So Pfizer has put it down to 16-year-olds, and I believe even last week they went down to 13-year-olds. And the phase 3 trials have expanded out to people over 65. And as we know, they're the highest risk people. So, ultimately, we want to vaccinate as many people as possible, but children will probably be the last group of people to get the vaccine.
We're looking at the second wave that we're in right now. People are saying 6 months, more masks, no schools, no business. We don't know. How long?
Yeah, well, it looks like from Pfizer's statement, the CEO said they were going to look to submit an emergency use authorization around the Thanksgiving timeframe. And if that's the case, then you'd imagine 3-4 weeks later, we could see a vaccine approved under an emergency use. That would be great news. You're talking right before Christmas having a vaccine available. Moderna probably a little bit later, maybe end of December, early January before they're rolled out. But again, it's going to take multiple vaccines to get through this.
Dr. Dean Fanelli, thank you for helping us understand the process of getting it out and also what's actually in these little bottles. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.